So I'm just going to quickly review this idea of how crude birth and crude death rate and net migration rate can be used to figure out. So I just wanted to review where this 10 comes from. So for this first one, I'm going to take 14.3 is the birth rate minus 6.6, which is the death rate, and I get 7.7. Now I'm going to take 7.7 divide by 10, and I get 0.77%. 0.77%. There's my answer for it. Now if I want to go to the total rate, because again, this was natural, so it was just births minus deaths. I'm going to go back here. I could go back to the beginning and say 14.3 minus 6.6, and then I'm going to add my net migration rate, but I'm going to add a negative 0.1, and I'm going to get I'm going to get 7.6, or I can take my answer from up here, 7.7, and I'm going to take this 0.1 here, subtract that 0.1, and I get my 7.6. So 7.6 divided by 10 gives me 0.76%. So that is my overall population rate. Next one I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at this country, Russia, and it's natural. So natural, again, just births minus deaths. So 11.3 minus, oh, wait, I have 11.3 minus a bigger number. So I'm going to get a negative number. And again, that means this population isn't growing, it's shrinking. So I'm going to get it minus 2.3. I'm still going to divide by 10, and I'm going to get negative 0.23%. So the population is shrinking. If I'm now going to include, because it's now the next one is the population growth rate, not the natural, I start with my negative 2.3, again, births minus deaths, and then I add my net migration rate, which is, my net migration rate, which is a negative, it's positive 1.7. So then 2.3 plus 1.7, because again, this is positive, and I'm going to get 0.6%. Or 0.6. Now, even though it's a decimal, I still have to divide by 10. So divide by 10, so I'm going to get 0.06%. So my population, because of immigration, is actually holding fairly stable. It's at 0.06%. And my answer for that one, was negative. So this was negative. So this should be negative. So it should be a negative in there, 0.06%. So you got to be paying very close attention to those signs. Last one for India, I have 19.3 minus 7.3, and it's once natural, so it's just births minus deaths. And I believe I will get just an answer of 12 for this one, 12.0. 12 divided by 10 gives me 1.2%. So again, sometimes you get a number bigger than 1. Sometimes you get these decimals. Sometimes you have these negative signs. So again, be aware. There's a lot going on in these problems. If I go to the population rate, I add the net migration rate. So 12 plus my net migration rate is 0. So in this case, I get 12. 12 over 10 gives me 1.2%. So again, this is a time when these are the same because my net migration rate is 0. So that's how we go about solving these problems. Population growth rate. And so I just opened a fresh page here for a second. And if you remember here, births minus deaths plus immigrants minus emigrants, okay? And so what is this really? This is births minus deaths, and this immigrants minus emigrants is this net migration rate, okay? And so, but this is out of the total population. What I want to know is if it's this crude means it's actually out of 1,000. So if I did all of this out of 1,000, but I was like, well, I really want percent change. So if I do percent, it's a percent out of 100. So I'm going to do the same idea here. And if I cross multiply 100 births minus deaths plus net migration rate equals that percent change out of 1,000. If I cancel zeros, so that and that cancels, I end up with 10 on the bottom. Or if you would, you can take 1,000 divided by 10, 1,000 divided by 100, and you'll have 10 left on the bottom. So this is where we get births minus deaths plus net migration rate over 10 equals the percent change. If it's just natural, we're just going to do births minus deaths over 10. If it's overall, then I'm going to just use this one where I add the net migration rate. And if the net migration rate is negative, then I end up subtracting it.